Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating where we really try to get to the bottom of why people do the things they do and why do you do the things that you do. Hello, Julie.
Where do you even start with that? There's so many things that we do. So many things.
Every time I say that in our intro now, it makes me question everything I do.
Like 100%. It goes beyond dating, but it's actually a perfect episode that we have this week about the etiquette of modern dating, because I think there's a lot of things that happen day to day and you do question, why am I doing this? What should I be doing? Am I handling this correctly? I think the questions go on and on because, you know, there is no Emily Post anymore. There's no etiquette guide that we used to have back in the day.
And they're just on all these like unwritten expectations and rules that keep changing with modern dating. So we got to keep up with them, but also they're up for discussion too. It's not like they're written in stone. So I think in this episode, we do question a few of them. And I think it opens up a conversation for all of us to talk about, like, is this still an etiquette that we want to follow? Or is this something we want to evolve from? So before we get to that episode, it's been a very eventful day. I went to the Stop Asian Hate Rally here in Los Angeles in Koreatown. I was pleasantly surprised because our very own Mei Lee, my girl crush, as you know, was the MC of this entire rally. It was extremely organized. They had about 10 speakers, ranging from politicians to local leaders, as well as a high school kid who made a very powerful speech. I got really emotional, Julie. I didn't think I was just like, oh, I want to go and support I want to go and support my community, but I didn't realize that it would bring up all these emotions of years and years of just suppressed and internalized anger that really came through. And I'm wearing my shirt.
I love it.
Stop Asian Hate shirt.
I love it. I want to get one.
I'll get you one.
I gotta get one.
I kept thinking we should make dateable ones to say like date without hate.
Oh, I like it.
Would that be cute?
I like it. I like it. That's a good one. I know. I definitely wish I actually went to a rally. I've been like very under the weather the last week, as you know, but I do feel like rallies are a great way to support one another. Like I definitely felt, I mean, I can only imagine that you feel it even more when it's your race, like, you know, in question on the whole thing. But I definitely felt emotional when I went to the Black Lives Matter rallies. So I could see 100% how you could feel that way, amplified, you know, when it's your own.
And then we talked about this last time too, with when the BLM rallies were going on. Everybody, you do you. You show support however you think support should be shown. I really was compelled. I'm not usually a rally person. I was very much compelled this time to show support in this way. And what I realized once I got there was it wasn't really about me showing support. It was actually very educational. I went to learn about what was happening and what can be done at this point. And it was really great. Everybody that came on stage to speak said this line. They said, now's the time. This is time for change. And I really feel like change is in the air. And when it comes to the Asian community, which hasn't really banded together like this in the past. So I'm really proud of what we've done as a community, but there's just so much more learning for us to do. But back to that high school kid that came on stage to give this really powerful speech, and May loved him too. He said this. Ever since I was little, I was told to walk away. You see bullying, you walk away. You see something wrong, you walk away. You see violence, you walk away. And he said, I'm done walking away. Now it's my time to stand up and speak up. And I was like, holy shit. I was like bawling. And there were 5 or 6 high school kids up on stage with him with signs. And it starts with them. And I kept thinking like, this is what we need. This is why we need this. It's for the future of our generations who are going to be victims of discrimination if we don't do something about it. I also saw a great shirt that said, it's a nation, not discrimination.
Ooh,
That's
I
pretty
like
great.
that
Yeah.
too. So many merch ideas,
So,
but no, I mean, I am so impressed by Gen Z. Like they were the ones that organized. I mean, there was like a rally in San Francisco for BLM that was what, like 20,000 people going across Golden Gate Bridge. It was insane. It was organized by Gen Z or high schoolers. So yeah, hats off to them.
it's like Gen Zers are undoing all the bad things that we've done and our other generations before us. Because Gen Zers are not, they don't come into this world with hate, but they see it and they're the ones cleaning our mess right now. So thank you for taking on that responsibility. You're a very good generation.
I think though some of it though is that a lot of the stuff has been ingrained in us in so long, and it actually kind of ties back to last week's episode with toxic masculinity, and like how we talked about all the things that like we even as women would say to men because we perpetuate these situations. And we actually got a comment on YouTube that I thought was interesting. That was toxic femininity is a problem too. And I agree. I 100% agree, actually. To me, at least, feminism is equality. And I think like toxic femininity is when we start to man hate. So I do totally see that point. But I don't think it either is like toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. But the fact that we're like, pointing different fingers also shows that there's like a larger problem too.
And that's the point here is we need to stop pointing fingers. And the first place to go is to look inward and think about what are the beliefs that you have grown up with that are so ingrained in you. And now's the time to challenge those beliefs. And one very good example is very recently a listener of ours emailed in and called me out for something I said in a previous episode. It was why is sex closeted? And I made a comment about how Asian women were the gateway for homosexuality. A lot of gay men do a layover with Asian women before they become fully out. And she, I very much respect that this woman called me out and said, why are you still perpetuating these stereotypes of Asian women? And I had to stop and think, why did I say that? That's something I've been saying for years. It's something I've been telling people. I thought it was an interesting fact. I first read it in the book Middlesex, but I never stopped to think, why am I still supporting this fact? Because it is based in a stereotype of Asian women being one, androgynous, and two, feminine. So these are two combination of characteristics that make it okay for a closeted man to be in a relationship with before they fully come out. And by even saying that, even if it's joking, even if it's a statement, it doesn't matter. It perpetuates those stereotypes. So I fully own up to the comment and I fully own up to the fact that I didn't even stop and think about how that affected this entire movement as a whole and how I'm undermining what we're going through. So I appreciate all the call outs. Absolutely. Julie and I are putting ourselves in the public here and we're not always right. So I really appreciate when people can come back with constructive criticism and call us out for things that we say that we probably should not be saying.
Well, as one of our past guests, Chris, said, she was calling you in, not calling you out, which I appreciate that true. Sentiment, actually. Yeah. And, I think sometimes I remember when you said that on the episode, and because you're Asian, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, she's saying it. I feel like if I had said that, it would have been like, oh, that's clearly inappropriate. But in a way, like using your own race kind of gives you like a get out of jail free card. I know I've definitely like said stuff about Jewish people before about being cheap. And I'm like, I don't like that stereotype. Why would I say something like that? And in a way, you're like, oh, it's okay because I am saying it about myself. But it does just perpetuate it. Like what? It does just perpetuate it. Like that's not... Like, yeah, it's not like helping anyone. So like we have to cut this. And I heard like, jokes about like... I think comedians have done this for years.
Oh my gosh, like,
yes. It's hard though, because it's like at some level, like this is the world that we're in, that like every word is scrutinized, but it is bringing awareness to things that just like aren't okay anymore.
It's good to scrutinize. I used to think we were hypersensitive, but it is good to scrutinize because it makes you pause and think. And after everything that's been happening recently, I'm going to take a pledge to pause and think about the things that I say. I'm going to look inward and question my beliefs, because I really believe that for change to happen, it starts with us. We can't say, oh, the world needs to do this. We need better leaders. We need better this. No, we need better people from the inside out. So if we can all just be that person and make a pledge to yourself, if I see something that's inappropriate, I'm going to call it out. If I hear something inappropriate coming out of myself, I'm going to call myself out. Make that promise to yourself. If we can all take responsibility for our own words and actions, this world will become a better place.
I think pause and think is a key word here. I mean, I think Micah, our guest today, would definitely agree with that sentiment with etiquette, but it actually kind of reminds me of something that I think pause and think is something that we can apply to our dating lives 100%. I had this revelation this week that I wanted to share with you.
Oh, yes, please do.
So it actually like comes back to the fact, like, I mean, you know this, Yue, but I've been actively looking for a house to own as a first-time homeowner. And we've talked about this when you bought a house, that there's a lot of parallels to dating. That you're
so
like,
many.
You're like on Tinder, but at Zillow, and you're like, does this meet all my expectations? Like, am I being, I actually had this sentiment because it's very overwhelming. There's a lot of choices. It's a big decision. It's kind of like up there in who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Like, it's a high thing. So I've been going out with my realtor, Zara Robotham, who, by the way, I'm just going to give her a quick plug because she is freaking phenomenal.
She's awesome.
Anyone in the SF Bay area that's looking for a realtor, like if you need someone, like definitely check out robothamrealestate.com. Like definitely highly recommend. So I'll give that plug first.
And also a ton of our friends have bought with Zara.
Yeah,
like a ton of our friends this year.
She knows her shit. And she also joked, and this is where I'm getting into it with her, she joked that she's also part-time therapist, psychologist. It's like move over bartender. It's the realtors that really get all your emotions unloaded. Yes. Like, she's like, you would not believe. Like, I think Selling Sunset needs to, like, do a show that shows, like, the insider real estate of, like, because it's like you're about to drop, like, all the money you've earned for, like, freaking your whole life on this purchase. Can you imagine the emotions going through? It's like when you're at the altar and you're like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And anyways, like, I've definitely had a moment that I've seen a lot of places, but I'm kind of like, I said to her, I'm like, I like everything I've seen, but I haven't been like, this is the one. And a lot of people say that they get that feeling when they like see the property that they end up being with. And it actually made me think about dating. And I'm like, I think this is how I am in dating too. Like, I think a lot of it probably stems from my perfectionist tendency. Right? We all know I'm a perfectionist from our schemas episode and all that. And I was thinking about like Logan too, Logan Yuri, one of our past guests, her like 3, basically, what type of dater are you? Are you the hesitator? Are you the maximizer? Are you the romanticizer? And I'm like, am I being the romanticizer that I know exactly what I want in my mind, but is it realistic? Am I realistically going to find something that has all the qualities in the price point, in the location? Like, am I just having this like massive checklist that never lets me move forward because I have unrealistic expectations? Or am I the hesitator because, there's a little bit of me that's like unsure of a few things in my life. And I'm like, is this the right time to commit? It's kind of like when you don't have like your career 100% in a relationship. Is it the right time to commit to a serious relationship? Or am I the maximizer that I think that there's like something better out there every turn of the way? So I was like, wow, there's really so many parallels with dating and relationships and real estate that I think that, real estate agents really should be the next dating coaches.
Interesting, interesting correlation there. When I found my place, I certainly did not think it was the one. I looked at 50 places and I came to this conclusion that I probably will not find the one when it came to my dream house. But my boyfriend said this to me, as long as the foundations are good, everything else can be changed. And I feel that applies to dating too. As long as someone's foundationally a good person and you feel like you can be with them and you align, everything else can change. It's super easy. So I feel like in the last month that I've lived at my new place, I've made it into the one for me. And I'm completely and utterly in love with it now.
Wow, that is the best parallel to dating I've ever heard. And maybe that's really where the perfectionists are getting held back, like myself, is that I think for me, what something has held me back is that I have this idea of the person I want because I've dated enough, because I've had enough relationships, and I'm like, I know what qualities I really jive with. That on one side, I'm like, it's good because I'll know it when I see it. But then on the other side, maybe it's not letting people that have enough of the foundation grow into that one, like you were just saying.
And one of the hesitations about my place is that a family of 4 lived here before. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, this has seen so many hands. This has seen so many butts in the toilets. It felt so used. But at the same time, now that I've lived in this place and I've learned to love it, I realize this place has loved so many people, and so many people have loved it back, that it made it feel really warm. It felt like broken into, like a nice pair of PJs. It felt really like home. So here's another parallel to you too, is that everyone is going to be that used house, right? Someone's lived in that house before, but instead of looking at it as, oh, other hands have been on this house or damaged this house has given love and has been loved back by others. So
I also just want to point out, what a way to change your mindset. That is like the ultimate spin, right? Like,
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So Julie's going to go out there and find her dream house today.
I love it. Love it. Well, that's what Zara was saying. She's like, I think that the mindset does shift, because when you're ready, then you walk in and you start to see these places as like being it, you know?
Yeah.
And that we say that all the time with dating. Once you're ready, back to like the episode we did with Jesse and Cassie, when your light is on, not to throw a Sex and the City reference, but we'll do it. The
Always.
Light is on, right? The last tie into etiquette that I was actually thinking about with real estate, there was one that I totally did this thing that, like, you know how you go on a date and you show up and you're like, this was the best date ever, I'm going to move forward with it, I had such a good time. And then you get home and you're like, did I have a great time?
Yeah.
I totally did that to a realtor. Not my realtor, but the realtor selling. I was like, I'm so into this place, I'm going to go home and like look at all the paperwork and reach out with all the questions. And then I got that feeling of like, actually, this isn't it. And then I just ghosted, and I'm like, is that bad etiquette? Like, should I have followed up? I don't know. It's so many parallels to dating.
I feel like we could spend hours on all the parallels to dating. We're very lucky to have Micah for this episode because she's quite well known in this space. And she's also someone who is not a stickler for traditional dating etiquette. And she's constantly evolving her business along with modern dating culture. So we're very lucky to have her as a guest.
Yeah, it was great to talk to her. I think also, like, with so much changing right now with, you know, the way we date, like gender roles, like, there's a lot on the table for etiquette. Should we hear all about modern dating etiquette?
Take it away, Micah.